Now, our next speaker comes from a very, very different field. He is a man that says about himself on LinkedIn, "I'm a rational and analytical individual with a constant thirst for knowledge. And I thrive on stressful situations." So Martin Dion from BCV will speak to us about why security investments should be built in, not painted out, right? Very warm welcome to the summit, and the stage is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What people fail to understand is that security is not something you can buy. As we said here, security should be built in, not painted on. Security is a state. It's like happiness. Can you buy happiness? Not really. Happiness is one point in time. So is security. Happiness, you need to maintain it. You need to constantly invest in it. But you need solid foundation. If your life is a wreck, there's no way you will reach happiness. Cybersecurity is a foundational piece of every product today, because nobody will buy into any product that is not secure. It counters the logic. So those foundations that you're building, they can only be achieved if you have an understanding also of your stakeholders. What Martin is buying is not much different from other people are buying. They're buying trust. They are buying longevity in a partnership. They want to make sure that the client, the provider of technology in this case, will safeguard both my information, but also the information of my client. So cybersecurity, again, is not a specific tool. It's a series of tools. And it's not because you have tools that you can build a house properly. You need the skill, you need the knowledge. This is the first thing. If your people don't understand what the stakeholders are looking for, there is no way they will build something that will be aligned with the buyer's needs. This is a very important part. I will just throw you a ton of acronyms. And just think, very honestly, if you know or understand those acronyms. Because if you don't, it means you're missing a lot of bricks in your foundation. SAST, DAST, Tenable, CM, a difference between BYOD and BYOKey. Can you make that difference? All those terms I've used are like the basic core component that you should have within your solution. But this is just the beginning. Because your solution is something you build over time, something that evolved from an idea to an MVP to a first client to a version 2, 3, 4 of your product. But if you do that through, let's use another acronym, DevSecOps processes, what have you built in your DevSecOps processes? Can you explain it in plain words to your client? If you cannot, me as a buyer, not spending money on you. Just so we're clear. Okay? And this is very important. You need somebody who can actually entertain a Martin-like, who's buying stuff, but also discuss with the technical people. Because if I look at BCV, for example, my department, although it's 33-person, which is quite consequent for an information security department in a bank, and that's across Switzerland. I mean, if you think about it, you have UBS, it's big like this, you have BCV, still big, but much smaller. But they have only 3 times our resources, which means we invest massively in security. It is the core of our services because that's what banks offer, security. And today, what is a bank if not a big IT system? So if the security is not built on, we're not delivering our services and our promises. And the same goes for you. Because if you become part of my operating system, I don't want you to be my weakest link, which is a reality today. Yes, you can use cloud technology. Cloud is probably the most secure toolkit available in the market right now. Can you actually use that toolkit without hurting yourself? Think of the first time you start cutting a tree with a chainsaw. Did you feel comfortable? Cloud is a big chainsaw, okay? It can hurt yourself because you're buying a powerful tool. You think it's going to do it all for you, but at one point you realize that you might hit the nut in the tree and that it might bounce back. The same happened with the cloud, okay? Whatever you buy at Microsoft, whatever you buy at AWS or Google, have the same label, but not the same feature. And the way you configure and you integrate it is not the same. So there's no such thing as a cloud specialist. There might be an Azure specialist, an AWS specialist, a Google specialist, but there's no such thing as a cloud specialist, so be careful. And now, what I would like to do is take today's opportunity to have the shortest PowerPoint presentation I had since I joined the BCV. People who know BCV know we thrive on PowerPoint. We create massive decks. We have a bunch of McKinsey consultants, and we have a deck whose 20 slide makes people in the room feel uncomfortable. And that's just for a 15-minute presentation, by the way. So today I'm surfing on a single slide that I hope you will reuse as much as you can to guide your own discussion when creating product, when discussing with client, when explaining how you built security in your system, not how you paint it on. In this case, what we have is a slide that has been done by Siemens. The only reason why you don't have the name of Siemens there is because I didn't ask their permission. But I got it, so I'm sharing it with you. And you can see here that it starts with employee know-how, knowing what we need to build on and how to build it on. Then customer security objective and requirement. If you don't understand what your clients are buying, how can you align those features? And just so you know, generally speaking, when creating product, the average investment of a Microsoft or whomever big companies who create secure product is about 20 to 25% of their budget. It's massive. Think about it as a startup. I have 100 developers. I have a good founding. I'm super happy. 25 of them, the only thing they do is security. They don't create feature for my customers. They don't create value. They don't innovate. They create security to enable everything else. Because security is literally everywhere. In your identity, in the way you communicate with your client, in the way you understand that the data has a certain level of integrity, in knowing what people is doing with your data. And while doing that, you might be violating GDPR or HIPAA. So you're exposed to massive fines as well. So it's important that you know how all of this bind in, because only there you can start doing a secure product architecture and design that you will build, that you will test, that you will monitor, and that you'll have to maintain. To give you an idea, last year there were about 13,000 vulnerabilities published. Every bit of code you put online rely on libraries. Those libraries, I did one scan of a customer repository, not at BCV, but in my previous life. We found 3,000 sleeping vulnerabilities in the libraries that they are just compiling into their code. So without knowing it, you're actually inviting the wolf in your system. You're integrating weak security component. That's why it's important to think about deployment and maintenance. And at one point in time, something will go wrong. That's a question I have to answer all the time in BCV. How comfortable are you with our system? And I will be touching wood later, but no major incident in the last 5 years. And I pray for that no, I don't pray for it. It's just, that's how I live. It's gonna happen at one point in time. That's what I keep telling them. And it's gonna happen to you. It happens to everybody. Regardless of the amount of money that the Australian intelligence services put on or the CIA put on, they all got hacked. So don't be arrogant and think you can secure your system against everything. It's impossible. But one thing you can do is be prepared to respond to incidents. And if you, as a vendor of a solution to me, cannot show me a proper detection and security incident detection and incident response process, there's a big chance that I will never sign with you guys, because it means that when there will be a problem, and there will be one, you will not be helping me, I will be helping you out of it. And this is not my job. I'm the one who buys your product, not the other way around. I'm not your consultant, okay? So when we buy cyber security incident response processes And security detection mechanism is also something we buy. So if you're not able to put product and names between each of those steps, there is a misunderstanding somewhere. You need to acquire this knowledge, you need to make sure your staff has it, and you need to make sure that it is integrated continuously in your product lifecycle. That's it. That's all I have to say.